Come, Patsy.
Sir! Sir!
What?
Sir!
For all good squares, it is all difficult. Oh, hold on. Whew. Forgot that night helmet makes it harder to hear me. Let me try that again. Hello, Bips Squires. Medieval Knight Bippin here. I know what you're thinking. Bippin, how are you even alive right now? You were literally scorched alive for being a vampire in the sun in the last video. What happened? Well, dear viewers, I'll tell you what happened. The power of friendship, that's what. Yep, a couple college buddies of mine found my ashes and proceeded to use the time machine they were constructing in Time Travel 101 to go back in time to before I became a vampire. They used brooms to beat and kill the poor little vampire bat that would have bit me. I know. I thought that was kind of swived up. They didn't have to kill the thing. But alas, I have returned to the land of the living. Only thing is the time machine short-circuited while they were all inside, and so we were sent back to medieval times. Guys, there's dragons and turd here. It's scary. However, I was taken under the wing of a very famous knight. Don't know if you know his name. Tarhos? Anyways, I have trained enough to become a full-fledged knight myself. As for my friends, well, one became an assassin, the other a jailer, and the last a carnifex. You see where I'm going with this? In true medieval time fashion, I have learned a ton of new swear words that shouldn't be looked down upon by YouTube, hopefully. And so I will be censoring myself by using the time-appropriate language. The goal is to have the time machine up and running soon, so we can all go back home, but in the meantime, let me teach you about a killer in Dead by Daylight that just so happens to be the very same person who trained me, the Knight. Wait. Killer? In Dead by Daylight? You mean the place where morally horrible people kill for fun with no remorse? The same role with somebody who is childly enthused and a serial killer? Is my teacher a bad person? I mean, I haven't seen him in a while. I assumed he just went on his own way. I didn't know his own way meant joining Dead by Daylight. Turd. Well, you don't bite the hand that feeds you. The Knight is a more strategic area control killer, able to send out his loyal guards to do his bidding with his power, Guardia Campania. Am I saying that right? I really hope I am. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Basically, you're able to select up to 3 different guards. The Carnifex, Assassin, and Jailer. Wait a sarding second. My college buddies! What the fuck? Sard. They left too? They're supposed to be working on my sarding time machine. Whatever. I'll just do everything around here and fix it myself. Anyways, those traitorous fop-doodles have different functions and stats, giving you a leg up in certain scenarios. Before I get into specifics, let me tell you in general what you can do with these sarding saddle gooses. Pressing your power button stops the Knight in place and swaps you over to your ghostly green orb mode, allowing you to speedily zip through the environment. That is, if it works, because half the time I want to use it, I'm spamming the button, but I'm too close to a goddamn wall or something, and I can't use it, and it feels like turd to control. While in this ghostly green orb, you can't see survivors or their scratch marks and blood, but you can use these things on the side of your head called ears to listen out for survivors who are running or breathing. You can travel up to 32 meters before your power ends, you manually end it, or you cancel it completely. Survivors only see this orb within the first 10 meters of it, as it fades to quickly become invisible outside of that. What you're essentially doing in your ghostly green orb mode is creating a patrol path for the guard that you've selected, creating a line behind you as you move that the guard will end up following. Keep in mind that the guard will spawn at the end of the patrol path you created and head towards where your body was left, essentially following the path you made but in the opposite direction. Before doing so, hit your secondary ability button to cycle between the different guards. Once you reach the maximum 32 meters of distance or manually end your power, you will spawn the selected guard where you ended the power, and it will take a good second or two for the spawn guard to actually get his arse moving. You can only spawn a guard if you've traveled at least 10 meters in your ghostly green orb. Once they begin walking the patrol path, a large detection circle will appear around them. Guards will follow the patrol path back and forth until despawning after a set time, depending on which guard is deployed. You cannot send more than 1 guard out at a time, so make sure you're using them effectively. If if you want to cancel their route early, you can give them a good old schmack, a good old love tap that isn't fueled by rage at all. Survivors who are caught in line of sight of the guard or who trigger a loud noise notification while in the detection circle will trigger a hunt. There's a short delay where the guard will do a funny little noise and head towards the location, phasing through objects and even starting flying sometimes in higher elevations to reach the detected survivor. After the delay, the guard will start to chase the survivor, and a standard will appear at the location the survivor was detected, materializing over several seconds. For those of you who don't know, a standard is basically a flag. It's a flag, okay? Survivors hit by the guard during this time are injured, and any other survivor that gets into the attack range of the guard can take a hit for the chased survivor. Survivors can escape a hunt by outlasting the hunt timer, unhooking a survivor while being hunted, or by grabbing the standard that has been fully materialized. If escaping the hunt by grabbing the standard, doing this will give them a 50% movement speed bonus and endurance for 3 seconds, as well as end the hunt. The hunt also ends once a guard has damaged a survivor. If the guard were to down the survivor, this triggers Killer Instinct on them for 3 seconds, effectively showing you where they went down so you can follow up in picking them up. Another quick thing to note is that you gain increasingly good benefits for the longer you've made your patrol path. For example, the knight gets a 5% movement speed bonus for 2 to 10 seconds, the value of the duration increasing depending on if you made your patrol path as long as you could. These increasing values by patrol path length will be displayed in red. The other benefits you are given based on patrol path length are a reduced duration for the startup phase of your guard hunt by -10% to -25%, as well as an increased duration of the guard's hunt up to 1.5 times the default. You don't have to worry about too much when sticking a guard on a survivor and going to do something else, but there are some things you have to be wary of if you plan on following up while the guard is chasing someone. For starters, being within 8 meters of a guard that is hunting someone will triple the amount the hunt depletes. I'm imagining so that you aren't too oppressive in, close chases. On top of this, if you hit the survivor at all while they're being hunted by a guard, that hunt will end immediately. In closer chases, where you know a guard will catch up and you're also very close, you can attempt the infamous double hit. It sounds exactly like what it actually is. The moment the guard hits the survivor, you hit them and instantly down them. Whew. Good sarding. God, that's not the end of it. I feel like we've covered a lot. Next up are the guard orders. Instead of having a guard patrol an area, you can give them an order instead, essentially just saying, "Do my dirty work, peasant." In your ghostly green orb mode, if you come within 6 meters of a breakable wall, down pallet, or partially repaired generator, you can use your basic attack button to have your selected guard spawn in and either break the pallet or wall, or damage the generator. Some things to note are that generators damaged by a guard order regress by 5% instantly, then regress normally. On top of this, while a guard is breaking a pallet, the pallet cannot be interacted with. This means that you can use the guard to essentially block off the survivor from vaulting the down pallet and get them to break off from the loop. Last thing to note is that when damaging a generator with a guard order, it won't apply any perk effects that would normally occur when you damaged a generator. And that's pretty much all you can do with your guards. So let me explain what each of these bumbling Dalcops do. So since these are my former friends, I will be referring to them with their real names. We'll start with the Carnifex, otherwise known as Bumbus. Bumbus is really only good at breaking turd. Whereas the other guards take 6 seconds to break or damage things when given a guard order, Bumbus does so in a quick 2 seconds. I've seen a lot of people use this to instantly break pallets the moment they're dropped and quickly catch up to people. Besides that, it's pretty efficient at just breaking stuff around the map that you forgot about or left. Don't use this guy for chases. He's stats-wise the worst out of them for that. There's not much else to say. I don't know what you want me to say. Next up is the Assassin, also known as Fleamo the Smelly. Fleamo is the best aggressive chase guy, as his movement speed during a hunt is increased to 4.4 meters per second instead of the default, which is 4.1. On top of this, if Fleamo injures someone, he inflicts deep wounds on them. Pretty gnarly, Fleamo. I like to use this little dude when I'm being a little more aggressive and chasing survivors that are also being hunted as well, since the heightened movement speed makes being chased by 2 people more impressive, as well as the deep wounds hit stops survivors from using endurance perks in chase. Lastly, there's the Jailer, who I know as Gungle Frumptious. Gungle is your A+ patrol boy, having the fastest patrol speed of 4.1 meters per second compared to the 3.4 of the other guards. On top of this, whereas other guards patrol for 12 seconds, Gungle patrols for 24. He also hunts for 24 seconds instead of 12, and has an increased detection radius of 14 meters instead of the default 8. Lastly, his standard takes 10 seconds to materialize instead of the default 5. Essentially, Gungle is good for ensuring you get more hunts and that survivors being hunted are occupied for longer. He's good at spawning people, and he has the funniest little laugh. he's so happy. I personally like Gungle the most. Okay, good lord, that is enough. So basically, to sum it up, create patrol paths between areas you want to hold down and multitask downing people. A cool little trick, by the way, and this is insider knowledge, you can place a guard down before picking someone up to help if people come in for a save, or if the person has decisive strike, in which the guard will instantly target them the moment they get off your shoulder. And that's the power. There are tons of numbers and stats and stuff for what is relatively a simple power in concept. You have 3 guards. They all have their own specialties. You select one and draw out a path that they will patrol or give them orders to break something. They find someone, they chase them. If they injure them, then they injure them. That's cool. God, I feel like that's the most in-depth wise I've went for like a power, at least in terms of stats. Okay, good lord. I really hope I haven't forgot anything or messed any of those specifics up. It doesn't really warrant a whole history time with Bippin segment, but I did want to bring up the fact that the knight wasn't able to manually select his guards before. It was always in order, going Bumbus, Fleemo, Gungle, meaning you had to use each one pretty much instead of selecting one for the specific scenario you're in. There were also some changes in terms of the benefits you gain from making a larger patrol path, as well as numbers that were tweaked to make pallet loops more bearable against the knight. I remember a viable strategy when he first came out was to approach the loop and just quickly spawn your guard on the other side, usually resulting in survivors just holding W. I'm personally an enjoyer of the new knight changes, but I don't play them that often to have formed a strong enough opinion. I don't know. Leave your thoughts on the current knight in the comments. I'd like to read them. Anywho, talking about all these numbers and specifics gave me a solid amount of time to recalibrate the time machine's controls. I'm getting there, slowly. Let's move over to the knight's perks, shall we? The knight comes with his 3 personal perks, being Hex, Face the Darkness, Hubris, and Nowhere to Hide. First up is Hex, Face the Darkness. This Hex activates whenever you injure a survivor by any means, lighting up a random dull totem and cursing the survivor that was injured. Every 25 seconds, all survivors except the cursed survivor will scream and reveal their auras for 2 seconds if outside of your terror radius. This Hex deactivates once the cursed survivor enters the dying state or gets fully healed, extinguishing the totem. If a survivor manages to destroy the Hex totem when it's activated, this perk will be disabled for the rest of the trial. This perk is pretty alright. Conceptually, I think the idea of hitting one survivor and causing everyone else farther away to scream in terror is pretty bad arse. The aura reading is short, but it's a nice way to find out what survivors are doing and where they are generally during a chase, or if you break off the chase with the injured survivor. On top of this, the periodic screaming helps interrupt certain survivor actions, which can also be nice. I'm also a fan of the fact that since this Hex isn't really the most powerful thing in the world, cleansing it is a little harder to do, as it's kind of you have a little short window to do this, and if you don't, then it's still there. Next up is Hubris, a neat little perk which can be pretty game-changing. Whenever a survivor stuns you, they suffer from the exposed status effect for 20 seconds. This then goes on a cooldown for 20 seconds. If you can get value out of this perk, it really kicks arse, shortening a chase significantly by downing a healthy survivor completely. I find it mostly fun in the Pallet Eater combo that is Spirit Fury plus Enduring, capitalizing heavily off of survivors stunning you with pallets. Lastly, there's my baby. My sweet, sweet beloved, Nowhere to Hide. This perk has been one of my go-tos for a while, as it's just so nice and so helpful. All it does is reveal the aura of survivors for 5 seconds within a 24-meter radius around you after damaging a generator. This is perfect for those little immersed sons of harpies that hear you coming and hide early, as instead of just leaving and letting them come back to repair it after kicking the gen, you can see their aura and kill the little bastard. It's also fun to pretend that you don't have the perk and are just wandering around, then quickly swinging it and damaging the survivor. On top of this, it's not just showing you the aura of survivors around the generator, it's showing them around you, meaning for that 5 seconds you can just kind of walk around and hopefully see somebody. On killers that move fast or teleport very quickly, you can also find people pretty easily after kicking the generator and just taking a look around. It's just such a lovely and useful perk. I love it. And that's it for the knight's perks. Pretty good, honestly. I am a little biased and will constantly give praise to Nowhere to Hide because of how lovely it is, so that bumps up the knight's perks by a lot for me. Whew. The time machine's controls have been calibrated. Now I just need a power source. While I scour around to look for something, let's move swiftly on to lore time. Oh god, dear god. What the Sard? I'm just transitioning into lore time. I didn't mean to start a battle. Good lord. Lore fact number 1. The knight can't be played on the Coldwind Farm map. He's the knight, not the day. Lore fact number 2. The knight's full name is Tarhos Kovacs. Kovacs? Please, do not butcher me if I'm saying these wrong, I'm really not that great at this. He was a Hungarian slave, but became a knight after being freed for his sheer bravery in battle. Lore fact number 3. My traitorous arsehole friends, Bumbus, Fleemo the Smelly, and Gungle have actually had their names changed. The Carnifex's real name is Sander Ralt. The assassin's name now is Durkos Malekek, and the jailer's name is Alejandro Santiago. These guys have apparently sworn their lives to Tarhos, and are known as the Faithful Three. So, I guess saving me wasn't enough. Lore fact number 4. Tarhos is explicitly stated to be in awe when faced with mass slaughter and violence. So, yeah, maybe that does answer the question. Maybe he is a bad person. Lore fact number 5. Vittorio Toscano, the survivor who came with this chapter, was originally a wealthy Italian lord who ended up getting enslaved by Tarhos. But when he managed to escape, Tarhos went baby mode and threw a temper tantrum. Lore fact number 6. Rewind edition. I kinda missed mentioning this in the last video, but on Coldwind Farm, wouldn't Dracula burst into flames and die like I did? Perhaps he was just wearing sunscreen. Lore fact number 7. Butt punches are real. You can do them as the knight. Since your weapon is a huge claymore, no, not that one, the knight holds it with 2 hands. When you pick someone up on your shoulder, you hold your claymore backwards with 1 hand, and can smack people with the pommel. I'm no scientist, but that right there is the butt of the sword. Therefore, butt punches. Lore fact number 8. Are you aware that there's a bug that is still in the game pertaining to the knight's guards while hunting? If a survivor runs up to a pallet or vault location and doesn't interact with it, instead running away, the guard won't follow them. They'll run up to the same vault or pallet the survivor did, then turn and continue chasing them, effectively cutting off a lot more time from their hunt. This is a strategy I see a lot of survivor players do when facing the knight, as it makes it easier to escape the hunt. The reason I used quotes on the word bug earlier is because, correct me if I'm wrong, Behavior has stated that it's totally intentional and have kept it in because of that. Bull sarding turd. Lore fact number 9. Please also correct me if I'm wrong with this one, but before this chapter was announced, it was leaked that Dead by Daylight was going to be collabing with For Honor. Many people at the time speculated that the killer was going to be a character from that game, but then eventually it was just revealed that it was an original knight. Don't know what happened with that, but interesting stuff. And that's it for the knight. I'm going to give the knight a personal rating of 6 out of 10. Let's go over the positives here. I think the knight's design is really cool. I love the voice, the stringy hair protruding from the slit on the helmet, the thudding armored footsteps when he walks, and the designs of the guards are neat too. Having a knight in the game was a much needed category of killer and fits. Still waiting on a pirate though. I also do like the Terror Radius music, up until the chase. I have thoughts on that. The Mori is fun with incorporating all of the guards, and the power is a cool concept that I've found either really works or really doesn't in practice. Now for my gripes. First off, the chase music. I think the different Terror Radius layers are really cool and intimidating, but when it comes to the actual chase, it's quite repetitive and lacks the intimidation factor that was in the other layers. Of course, that's only my opinion. If you liked it, then good for you. Gameplay is my other nitpick with the knight, because I really do like the idea of spawning little goobers to do your bidding and chase people. However, Dead by Daylight and AI didn't really go hand in hand when this was released, or even when Nemesis was first released. Now that I think about it, having an entire power revolved around an external AI and its capabilities was very hit or miss, as I remember people screaming at their guards, myself included, when they just didn't work properly. Sometimes they'd take extremely long and strange routes instead of the fastest possible, and sometimes they just bugged out and were extremely unreliable. It felt at times like the knight just had a 50-50 power, either it works or it doesn't. I've experienced less of that with the knight nowadays, but the painful memories are still there, and I'd imagine, knowing Dead by Daylight, there are still some bugs with the AI. Other than that, I think he's a pretty cool killer, but like other killers I've covered, just not my cup of tea. And that's that. Thank you for watching this entry in the 101 series, and if you don't mind me, I'm going to come back to the present now. Finding a power source for the time machine was hard in medieval times, but I luckily had 2 AA batteries in my pocket from when I was going to change my TV remote batteries. Anywho, time to get back to the present. Wait, Sard, this doesn't look like the present. Everything is in ruins. How far did I travel? Let me check the date on the time machine. Oh no. 2114? I mean, That's not that far, but this looks apocalyptic. You know what? I'm making the best of a bad scenario. I'm going to leak the entire roster of killers they've added by this date. Let me just load up the website. Dude. Holy turd. They actually added them. They actually added... Can I help you? You're from Behavior? Wait, hey, put me down. Please, no.